My name is Wallace Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. This show is being presented by United in Peace, Inc. And the issues that's on this show for my viewing and listening audience is the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. that helped me to put the issues together. So this show will be very informative, and that's none other than the chairman of United Peace, Inc., Terry Marsh Bradley, my wife. We've got a very interesting show today. I know you're hearing about the school teachers union preparing for an election. I know you're hearing about the mayor preparing to go to Washington, D.C. to sit before an oversight committee dealing with the sanctuary city. And then there's still people. I saw a program today. There's African Americans, they're still trying to get the impression that what the world, and especially the United States citizens, whether you MAGA or black MAGA or conservative or Democrat, seeing what is happening with Elon Musk and the president. And a lot of the people are now realizing that what is happening is affecting Americans regardless how they voted. Then you got those that's trying to still convince people that it was Biden. I had heard a guy today say it was Biden that had the migrants bust to Chicago. And it made me have to go and fact check it. And I'm going to show you who it was that created the situation in the various cities. They got Democratic mayors, the various states that have Democratic governors. So they can realize that the money that they felt should go toward the residents in them cities and states, to realize that the situation that was here with the migrants was happening before Mayor Brandon Johnson became the mayor. And he was the one that helped get the migrants off the floors of the police station because it was inhumane. He fixed the situation. But without further ado, Sister Rosito, is that correct? It makes no difference. I'm gonna say sister by Hispanic sister, Latino sister, that's aiding and assisting me today. Let's go to work.
Mayor Brandon Johnson has announced his final appointment to the Chicago Board of Education. It is Sydney Wallace. A news release from the mayor's office describes her as a CPS parent, Southside native, and mother of 4. She joins the full board that now includes 11 mayoral appointees and 10 elected representatives chosen by Chicago voters in last November's election. The board will be fully elected by 2027.
Now, everybody was wondering who the 11th person was going to be that the mayor appointed, because the mayor has the right to appoint 11 members of a 21-member school board. Now that he has picked her, And we realized that the CEO for CPS, he's making an arrangement to go somewhere else. So he's been planning to do that all the time. He has blocked the chance for the city of Chicago not to have a strike. The things that he's been doing is leading to where the school teachers will be striking, and they don't want to strike. So he create all the mess, and then he gone with his bag of money. You got individuals that saying that CTU leadership is wrong, and you got a group of teachers that want to run against the teachers union president that's standing for the rights of all teachers and those that work in the lunchrooms and everything else. So the thing becomes this: either you in full support of all the teachers too, and if you are, there will be no need for you to even consider about running, because y'all all talking about the same thing. Or are you a part of the red wave that's coming? Because I haven't heard your side saying that you concerned about the students being able to come to school and not have to worry about ICE coming into schools and grabbing the children. Either you against that move or you for that move. That's what this election is going to be about. So the thing becomes this. Right now, we see what's happening in Washington, D.C. They're trying to get rid of the Department of Education. Period. So that means the funds that was coming to help the students that had disabilities are being cut and stopped. That's affecting even the students' parents that's against Miss Davis and the teachers' union that's fighting to make sure that those students are safe. One or the other. We can't make the mistake like we made the mistake and felt like, hey, well, it don't make no difference. We won't change. We don't care. Let's get Trump in. Let's get rid of the Democrats and everything else. And they didn't realize that they were cutting their own throats and cutting away their own benefits. And they seeing it, and they feeling it. We all are. But like I always say, if you want to know what's really happening here and how to get through this, read the books of Solomon within the Bible. And you see, there's nothing new up under the sun. Walk by faith in God. Praise God. Seek His forgiveness, His mercy, His grace. His sustainability, and His hedge of protection around us and our families, regardless if you voted for Trump or you didn't, if you voted for Biden or you didn't. And know that the book of Job is your GPS for us to navigate through this. So without further ado, sis, could you play the next?
Johnson looking to Springfield with two open hands at a time when the state is facing a $3 billion budget deficit.
The governor has, an incredible lift to close this budget gap.
The mayor hoping there will be money in the budget to help fund transportation, special education, and bilingual education in Chicago. The mayor also counting on more funding to help CTA, which is facing a fiscal cliff next year when pandemic aid runs out.
As many people know, the distribution of resources for the Chicago Transit Authority do not match our economic input, right? So we want to see more equity around there.
State Senate Republicans talking about different budget priorities.
It's time to prioritize Illinois taxpayers. Again, we're calling on Governor Pritzker to not increase taxes on Illinois families and businesses.
The mayor says there also needs to be conversations around the personal property replacement tax. That's money paid to cities from state-collected business taxes. Last year it was restructured, reducing the payment to Chicago by $169 million. But Johnson is also preparing for another big conversation when he testifies on Capitol Hill next month about Chicago's sanctuary city ordinance. The law prevents law enforcement from helping ICE agents on immigration matters.
I always do my homework, right? And we will continue to do that. But here's the most important thing. We are a welcoming city for a reason.
The mayor was asked if he's ready to take center stage in D.C.
Here's a good thing, that the people of Chicago will be on center stage. I'm representing the values of Chicago.
Mayor Johnson says one lesson he has learned in dealing with the Trump administration is not to flinch. He says when he testifies before Congress, he will take with him the grit and toughness that Chicago is known for.
Now, understand what you're seeing. That's being reported. So either you're going to have someone that's going to be fighting for the rights, not just my rights, not just his rights. I'm talking about the people and Chicago's rights, with little rights that you can hold on to. Be you straight, be you gay, be you Latino, be you African American, be you poor white or poor black. If you don't stand with a man that's using what he has to make sure that all people got a right, what do you mean by that, Gator? There's Irish immigrants, there's Polish immigrants, there's Venezuelan immigrants. There might even be some Jewish immigrants. We don't know. If they in this country, and I'm speaking like this because I've been to Israel 3 times. And never knew that I could be considered an immigrant in their country. Because each time I went, I had a right to be there for that amount of time that they allowed me in. But what would have happened had something happened and I missed the plane? This city is one of the most segregated cities, probably in America. And you see the various cultures. So you got Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, Mexican Americans. They all had came to this country. And they all got relatives that may have came into this country and didn't come the right way. So do that mean that ICE can go and lock them up too? I'm not saying disobey any law. I'm just saying careful what you ask for while you watch them doing it to someone else. Just like the Venezuelans. When I saw and read how a lot of them was in support of the election. And they had a right to pick whoever they want to pick. Don't get me wrong. That's the wonderful thing about America. You got a right to vote for whoever you want to vote for. But when they realized that ICE was coming for them too, regardless, because they said, hey, we're the part of MAGA and we feel like he's doing the right thing, they said, okay, let me see your passport, let me see your ID, let me see if you was born in this country. Or you got to go. And if we stand by and watch that happen, they'll come and they'll grab another nationality. And it's kind of weird because the individual brought it to me about this being Black History Month. He said, Gator, if they lock up all the other people that they deem to be immigrants, will we be the only ones here in America that they really can't come and lock up as an immigrant? I had to scratch my head and say, wow, that's deep. But without further ado, let's get on with the next piece.
But first, Chicago Teachers Union President Stacey Davis Gates facing a challenge from within. A group of disaffected union members say they're none too happy with the way contract negotiations have gone with CPS.
And now one member is running to take her job. Political reporter Paris Shunts has the latest. Paris.
Yeah, Terrence and Sylvia, the 27,000 CTU members will be able to vote on May 16th who they want to lead their politically powerful union. Current leadership or someone else. Now, this group of Chicago Teachers Union members is unhappy with the current leadership, saying they've lost the trust of educators, parents, and city officials. They're part of what's called the Real Caucus, and they presented an entire slate of candidates as CTU internal elections take place in just a couple months. Candidate for president is Erica Meza. She's a 25-year CPS teacher currently at an elementary school on the Southwest Side. She says current leaders are out of touch with their members, parents, and the city at large.
Our leadership has been prioritizing politics over the rank and file needs and our daily struggles. There is loss of trust among the members and among our parents and community allies. Our current leadership seems to think that our power is in politics, but I'm here today to say that our power is in our solidarity.
Now, the Real Caucus says they want a new labor contract to include more teacher prep time and better facilities. And they say that leadership of the union gave themselves 8% raises. Rank and file members do not stand to see raises anywhere near that high in a new contract. They also say they believe there's not support among the union for a strike. Current leadership has put that possibility on the table, and they say leadership has not been transparent about the union's finances, choosing to spend millions on political races like that of Chicago mayor. They say the union has not produced financial audits for several years, and they're skeptical of how their dues money is being spent.
We are asking CTU to follow the Constitution and publish the audits. We do believe that it has not been fully documented how much we have spent on political campaigns, and we do believe we do need to spend money on political campaigns, but what that looks like we have no idea because we don't actually know the finances.
Now, a spokesperson for current CTU leadership did not respond to messages seeking comment. These folks say they want to see stable leadership at CPS, whether that's Pedro Martinez or someone else. But as you know, Sylvia and Terrence, this internal strife comes as CTU is locked in this battle with CPS over a new contract, and teachers have been without one now for 8 months.
Just like you heard them. You didn't hear them say anything about ICE being able to come into the schools and grab the children that they feel are illegal immigrants. You hear none out their mouth saying it was protecting the parents. And when you look at the one that's running, you have to ask yourself the question, what's she gonna say when they come in and grab the parents' children? Without further ado, I want to close out with this piece that's coming on right now. Let's go with this. The truth.
We begin tonight with the intensifying political battle over immigration. Today, about 50 migrants, many with young children, arrived in the nation's capital. It's the latest move by Republican-led states to transfer migrants unannounced across the country. More buses also arrived in New York City. CBS's Michael George is outside the Port Authority bus terminal. Michael?
Adriana, good evening. Yet another bus carrying migrants arrived here at the Port Authority, adding to more than 8,000 already in the New York City shelter system. Meanwhile, Republican governors vow to send even more migrants to Democrat-led communities, from New York to D.C. to Chicago to California. Arriving by bus and plane in Northern California, dozens of families, including children, were dropped off without any direction. Aid workers say some migrants walked from the airport looking for shelter. They ended up sleeping in a park.
Using people as political pawns to make a political point is wrong, and this is really an immoral thing for whoever's doing it to be doing.
New York shelters are at the breaking point. Mayor Eric Adams says the city has opened 23 emergency shelters and is even considering using cruise ships as housing.
We're looking at that as a temporary measure, not as a permanent measure. A permanent measure is get people into housing.
Republican governors of border states say they won't stop sending migrants to Democratic cities in an effort to provoke President Biden to act on border security.
We want to make sure that taxpayers are not having to foot tens of thousands or thousands of people coming in illegally, and that's the most effective way to do it.
This morning, a bus from Texas dropped off migrants in Vice President Harris' neighborhood in Washington, D.C.
About 50 migrants, a lot of children. There's about 1-month-old baby on the bus.
And the governors of Texas and Florida say they're willing to use taxpayer money for these buses and even flights. Texas has already spent $12 million on transportation costs.
That you witnessed, now you know the truth for real. They were all Republicans. I heard a guy say today on his show, there was the Democrats that made this happen. It wasn't J.B. Pritzker, Governor J.B. Pritzker. It wasn't the county board president, Tony Preckwinkle. It wasn't the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, that had them come here, that brought them here. It was the Republicans that was transporting them individuals, flying them here on planes, dropping them off anywhere to cause the chaos. Wasn't Democrats. I'm not saying Democrats don't make us mad, because they ain't been what they're supposed to be. But understand, pay attention to what the mayor is doing. I'm glad he made a decision to come and tell you what he's doing. And the money that they spent was 1% out their budget. 1%. And the building for housing, got funds that's coming everywhere. Pay attention to what he's doing. And when they show you Just like what I just shared with you, just like what everybody knew. We're in dire straits. So all I can say to you, like I say all the time, you got a right to your opinion. I'm just showing you facts so you know. When whatever is happening affects your family, and they look up at you and say, where was you at? Why didn't you say something? What you gonna say? Have you explained to them what you said before, and let us pray that a better day comes and that we survive this that's happening upon us. And I know that we as a people can survive. And since it's Black History Month, we, African Americans, always walk by faith in God. We've been doing it for 400 years. It comes around because everybody hates us for no reason. It's like Groundhog Day. And God has blessed us, and He'll bless you too, regardless your race, your religion, or your party. So I want to say, to God be the glory. That's Gator's story. Keep hope alive. Walk by faith in God. Praise Him.